Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to work on finishing the Fiero's chassis rebuild. If you missed the last episode, I've got a link to it down in the description below. It was more or less a part one of the chassis rebuild because so much stuff ended up needing to be done. So I dropped the entire front end out of the car, suspension, steering, brakes, everything, and pretty much started from scratch. I also refurbished all of the parts, repainted everything. It turned out really, really nice. Now I just got to tackle the rear. I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit less work than the front was, but we'll see. So, fun fact, if you don't know a whole lot about these cars were built to be more or less economy cars originally. The development program and stuff focused really on trying to utilize as many components from other, existing vehicle platforms as possible. So the rear suspension in these cars is actually from a front-wheel drive Chevrolet Citation, while the front suspension is a double A-arm coil sprung setup. The rear suspension is a McPherson strut setup. It actually has tie rods and everything, but the tie rods are mounted to fixed parts of the rear cross members, so they don't have the ability to steer like they could in a Citation. So it's just really interesting to see what they ended up doing to create this car that actually ended up being a pretty cool and, not a fast car, but a fun car to drive. Very tight and nimble. And in doing all of this stuff, it gave the car four-wheel disc brakes. You've got aluminum calipers. While it definitely has its faults, it was a pretty cool time for when this thing came out. But anyway, there's a lot of work to do. Before we get started, I'd like to give a huge thanks and shout out to Duplicolor, O'Reilly Auto Parts, and Scott Homan Auto for supporting this project. Be sure to support the brands that support the channel. It really means a lot. I've got everybody's respective links down in the description box below, so check them out when you get a chance. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The entire suspension of this car was quite a bit worse off than I thought it was, considering it actually drove and handled pretty good on my last thorough test drive. The biggest issues are the control arm bushings, which are severely dry rotted. The ball joints didn't look great either, and at least for the rear suspension, all of the rubber insulators for the strut assembly were completely deteriorated, so it all just needed to be completely redone. Because of the relatively simple design of this car's suspension, it's easy enough just to drop everything out and start from scratch. The only thing I elected not to replace were the sway bar bushings and end links, because it's an aftermarket kit, the bushings are polyurethane, and everything is still in really good shape. Everything else is getting replaced. Most of this stuff was actually in stock at O'Reilly. I'm going to be replacing the brake discs, calipers, hoses, wheel bearings, struts, control arm bushings, ball joints, tie rods, as well as the spring insulators and the majority of the hardware. I'll also thoroughly clean and re-grease whatever needs to be re-greased. It's going to be practically brand new when I get through. When it comes to cleaning up messes around the shop, my go-to has always been Scott. They're the #1 shop towel brand for a reason, offering different types of towels for different types of jobs, from light duty to heavy duty and even auto detailing. Their original shop towels offer double the absorbing ability over the leading value brand shop towel. Even when wet, they remain surprisingly strong, so they end up lasting longer. Even though they're designed for tough jobs, they're soft enough for your hands and face. You can get them in rolls or a convenient box, so you can just pull one out as needed. Before I start reassembling the rear suspension, I'm going to thoroughly clean and repaint everything so it all goes back in looking a whole lot better than it did coming out. I'll be using a few different products, including Duplicolor self-etching primer, automotive sealer, and engine enamel semi-gloss black. Even though these aren't engine related parts, I'm a big fan of this paint for its durability and how it lays out. Prep is the most time-consuming part of painting, especially when you're working with old parts, but the more time you spend on your prep work, the better the end results. The first step is getting everything clean. Duplicolor also offers a full lineup of cleaning products, from wax and grease remover and acetone to both water and solvent-borne cleaners. After you're done with cleaning, you're going to want to scuff up the surfaces the best you can to create a mechanical bond for the paint. The best conditions for painting are going to be between temperatures of 60 degrees and 95 degrees with humidity less than 60%. You also typically don't want to be painting in direct sunlight if you can help it, because it could negatively affect the curing process. Before applying, shake the can for at least a minute so the mixing ball inside can properly stir things up. You also want to shake the can for 10 seconds after each minute of use. To spray, hold the can parallel and about 8 to 10 inches from the surface you're painting, using an even sweeping motion. Apply 2 light coats followed by 1 medium wet coat. You want to allow for 10 minutes of flash time between coats and have all coats applied within an hour. This paint dries to the touch in an hour and can be handled in 3 hours. One helpful tip: after each coat, invert the can and spray till you see clear gas come out. This cleans the nozzle and guards against clogs. With all of the rear suspension components replaced and refreshed, it's time to start putting everything back together so I can work on installing the new brakes. Everything looks incredible and should last for many years to come. It's just a shame that all of this is in an area where you'll hardly ever see it, but at least it's all fresh and guarded against rust. Someone had painted the calipers red at some point in the car's past, so I figured I'd do the same with the reman calipers I picked up at O'Reilly. Duplicolor's caliper enamel is designed to take the daily torture that brake calipers endure. You can actually use this paint on rotors, drums, and hardware, just don't apply it directly to contact surfaces. For example, I've painted rotors before to guard against rust and corrosion. I'll mask off the area the pads make contact with and paint the hubs and cooling vanes if it's a vented disc to keep them looking fresh for the long while. The ceramic resins in this paint help withstand intermittent temperatures up to 500 degrees. With the proper prep work, you'll have a final finish that'll be resistant to chipping, brake dust, and automotive chemicals. The paint sprays and lays out very similar to Duplicolor's engine enamel. Color options include red, gloss black, matte black, blue, silver, and yellow. If you didn't want to remove your calipers but still wanted to change the color, you can pick up a handy caliper refinishing kit that includes a pint of caliper paint, caliper aerosol cleaner, a stir stick, masking tape, paintbrush, and a step-by-step instruction booklet. The brush on paint is only available in red, silver, gloss black, and matte black. Being that these calipers are already rebuilt and ready to install, all that really needed to be done was minor prep work and cleaning, as well as masking off what was necessary. Alright everyone, it's time for a test drive to see if all of this actually was worth it. I know it's going to be worth it, but I'm just really excited to see how much of a difference this car is going to be to drive because, you know, it drove okay before, but obviously the suspension was pretty much toast, so I think we're in for a big surprise. Better than it did before. Wow, what a difference. I mean, it handled pretty good beforehand, but obviously I didn't know just how worn out the suspension was until I ripped into it, but man, it's a very tight setup. The steering feels a lot more precise than it did before. Brakes feel good, the alignment's spot on. I ended up having to replace the steering column again because the one that the used one that I put in it in one of the previous episodes, the internal bearings, the plastic cage that holds all the ball bearings together, they disintegrated. So the steering wheel was still attached, but it was like wobbly all over the place. So I got another steering column, and this one feels really good. Keep our fingers crossed on that one. Yeah, hopefully this means that mechanically the car's pretty much finished. It's not perfect, it's got some quirks. You know, the tachometer still doesn't work right. I'm not sure why. I've put 3 different instrument clusters in this. I've replaced the tach filter one time. So any Fiero gurus out there that have an idea, you know, feel free to post in the comments below. But I think now work on finishing the interior and start getting the body work and paint started. Wrap this project up. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave a like down below because it really helps the videos a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing that too. And make sure your notifications are turned on so you don't miss out on the upcoming videos. A big thanks once again to Duplicolor, O'Reilly Auto Parts, and Scott Home and Auto for supporting this project. For more information about any of the products that I used in this video, check out the links I have in the description box below. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.